Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and we are in the height of enrollment season. Today, we're featuring SAISD Choice Schools, which are the in-district charter schools and partnership schools, magnet schools in San Antonio ISD, and they are in fact the biggest charter authorizer of any entity that we track on our site. So there's roughly 40 choice schools. We've updated the enrollment guide. There's been a lot going on with SAISD as far as rightsizing and mergers and closures, and to help us talk about changes to the enrollment process and get everyone excited about the unique learning models at SAISD Choice Schools. We have two team members from SAISD here with us, so let me introduce them. So next to me on the screen is Karen Galván, and she's the Special Projects Coordinator at the Office of Access and Enrollment Services in SAISD. Thank you, Karen.
Yes, hi, thank you. Glad to be here.
And then below me on the screen is Diane Fernandez, and she is the Executive Director in the Office of Access, Enrollment, and Retention in SAISD. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Inga, for having us here.
So I'm assuming that just about everybody listening to this knows what San Antonio ISD is, right? It's the original, it's the OG public school district in San Antonio. It's the central city. It's not the largest district, but it is the original, over 100 years old. But what are SAISD Choice Schools? Because this is a newer aspect of SAISD.
Yeah, so you're right. We are one of probably the oldest school district in San Antonio. We call ourselves the founding school district. We have families who've, mom and grandma and kid, have all gone to the same school. So there's definitely a lot of legacy and school pride within our district. But yeah, for those who have not heard of Choice Schools and programs, first of all, they are SAISD schools and they are public schools. So that means they are free of cost. Even as you get into like dual college credit programs, all of these programs are without cost. So we do have options all the way through 12th grade, as young as pre-K. And so that covers everybody. So elementary schools, academies, middle schools, high schools. And then we also have some schools that have kind of a non-traditional grade range. So you might have somebody, a school going from pre-K to 8th grade or from 6th grade to 12th grade. So you kind of run the gamut. But as you mentioned, we offer a lot of specialized programming. So probably about half of our choice schools are officially in district charter schools, but they are still part of our district. The others are programs within schools. So you can do anything from the Montessori curriculum to International Baccalaureate or IB. We have a ton of dual language options, English and Spanish, dual college credit, career training. You can get certifications and things like that if your next step is a career. Single gender campuses, those are just some examples. But pretty much something for everyone. Our goal is to get every student into the school that they would best serve them according to their interests. Yeah. And there's also free transportation, I forgot to mention. We have many different pickup and drop-off hubs throughout our district, which are just select schools around our district, where families or students who are attending our choice schools can catch the bus there and be dropped off there to and from the schools if transportation is an issue, because you may live on the other side of the district from the choice school that you're going to. So those would be available for families who live inside our district and out. As long as you can make it to that bus stop in the morning, we'll pick you up and we'll get you to your choice school and back every day.
And I'll add that in the district, we value families' voice and choice, both in district and out of district. And so our goal with the options that we have is that we help families to find the best fit, best match for their child as they're exploring and researching options for the upcoming school year.
Yeah, well, I want to echo some of the points that you made. So, like, Karen, as you said, these are public schools; they're tuition free. So that, and then there's more things that SAISD does to improve access, right? Like transportation. So families don't have to drive their kid to campus, and that's a big downside to a lot of the open enrollment public charter schools in San Antonio. Is that many of those schools don't offer transportation. It's up to the family to carpool or drive, or it's a lot. And I know you guys try really hard to answer questions and explain and like help people understand this process, because like this is a new world. Like, you know, like when I was little, it was you go to your neighborhood school and that was it. You know, but it's a different world now, and families can exercise school choice. Another point is that you don't have to live within the boundaries of SAISD to go to an SAISD choice school. It's open to pretty much anybody in the San Antonio metro area, right?
Yeah, we welcome applications from families all over. I mean, some people will apply knowing that they're moving here, but they still live in Colorado or overseas. As long as you are physically in San Antonio and it's time for school to start. But yeah, we do welcome applications from families outside of the district as well. The overwhelming majority are our own students, just because maybe they're more aware of them. But yes, we do not bar anyone from asking questions, applying, and being part of our process.
Yeah. Well, can y'all talk more about what your office does, the Office of Access and Enrollment Services? I know you guys you work hard every year, but this year you've been working extra hard to smooth things out for families.
Well, we're definitely a resource for them as they're exploring options. Sometimes we'll get calls directly to the office and direct them over to the website or provide them with additional options. But it's basically just giving them information about schools as they're researching, answering any questions about the campuses that they're specifically looking in, and providing them resources when they call the Office of Access and Enrollment.
Yeah, so I think just the words in our department name, you know, access, enrollment. You can't enroll unless you have access to your school options. So that's half of it, is having those conversations with families. What are you looking for? What's important to you? Did you even know that this was an option for you? A lot of times, no. Did you even know that we can get you on a bus and get you to school? No. So providing access to families, whether that's online access or just informational access, is the first part. And then the enrollment part is, okay, we'll guide you through the process to get your child in the seat on the first day of school.
Yeah. And then part of the extra responsibility that your office is carrying this year is communicating with all the families who are impacted by rightsizing. And I just want to encourage listeners, like if you are not familiar with SAISD rightsizing, we have resources on our website at sachartermoms.com. We have a couple of different blog posts about rightsizing, and plus SAISD has a hub of lots of information about rightsizing. But can y'all talk about like how has rightsizing impacted the choice schools specifically? And like, yeah, go ahead.
We do have some choice schools that have been affected as a result of rightsizing this particular school year. So what we're doing as part of that is, of course, informing our families. As you had mentioned, we do have that hub page where they can find additional resources. But the changes to some of the choice campuses, such as some of the expansions that we have this year, will allow us to be able to expand on some of the pre-existing programs that already exist at some of those campuses. So that gives us a benefit to be able to expand and maybe even clear additional seats that may have ultimately been on a wait list for some of those schools.
Yeah, I feel like it's like there's so much to talk about. Like we can barely even summarize it. But you know, Diane, as you said, like it's change, but it's not all bad news, because there may be families who were waitlisted, and you know, because of a merger, maybe more seats will open up with the school model that they want. And
it'll also give the students and the faculty at those schools better access, speaking of access, to resources that they may not have had at their previous campus. So the rightsizing is also helping all of our students have access to those resources, which are really important.
Right. Like it's important for, you know, every campus to be robust and have enough resources to be able to hire, like, you know, specialized support. And, you know, speaking as a parent of a child with special needs, like, you know, it's important that all those children have the staff that they need for those, you know, so they can learn as best they can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the things that y'all are doing to support specifically the family? Like, so there are 15 schools being closed under the rightsizing plan, and you guys are making extra efforts to make sure that those families know what their options are, especially how like they can access SAISD Choice Schools, which might be something they hadn't considered before.
Absolutely. So the district has developed what we call the Empower Plan, and the Empower Plan outlines our commitments or our assurances to families that are impacted by right sizing. And one of the components of the Empower Plan is the access and enrollment component. So those families that are impacted by right sizing are assigned a transition specialist who is working directly one-on-one with them to talk about what their enrollment options are for the upcoming year. So our families do have three choices. They have the newly assigned home campus that's recommended by the district, along with, as you had mentioned, Inga, being able to apply for a choice school, and then also submitting a traditional transfer to another neighborhood school. These transition specialists are talking them through every step of the way, from how do I log into my account on Avella to how do I select the appropriate school, and sharing resources. We have a great new school finder that we'll talk about later on in this session, and providing them with additional resources. So it's walking them side by side on their options, talking them through what that looks like, and helping them get into the platform to establish their intent for the next year.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think having that individualized attention for those families will go a long way, so that they don't feel lost. They feel like that they can get into the right place, among the SAISD options that are available to them. So one thing that I've noticed from thankfully we've been able to talk every year about about SAISD, right? So, but last year I think it was around October that I was able to talk to you guys. But this year, when I checked in with you guys in October, I was like, "Yeah, we're not quite ready yet," because the SAISD took the time to listen to the community about the right sizing plan before the board voted on November 13th. So it's really important to communicate and take the time to listen and adjust based on the community's input. But now that SAISD has voted on it, and then y'all have begun the open enrollment for the 2024-25 school year, but the timeline is a little different this year than last year. So can y'all explain anyway, that's a long preamble, but what is the enrollment timeline for families who want to access SAISD Choice Schools?
Absolutely. So we did have a delayed timeline this year as a result of the right sizing recommendation. However, our choice school window opened. Excited to announce that it opened on December the 1st. Our families have until February 15th to put in their application, and then our families will be notified on March the 1st for their offers for the 24-25 school year. And then they have until March 22nd to accept that offer.
Okay, well, that's good. That means that they have, and I know y'all have been hosting a lot of information sessions and community meetings, and virtual info sessions, in-person info sessions, and families can continue to do their research, but they can already get their applications in this time frame. They've got until February 15th, and then the process moves forward with the lottery. They have time to accept the offer, and then there's also waiting lists and all that stuff. Anyhow, I guess families who have questions about that, they can contact the Office of Access and Enrollment Services, and also San Antonio Charter Moms has our Facebook group. And there's a lot of SAISD families in there. There's a lot of families who are really interested in SAISD Choice Schools, and they're all researching this together. So of course, SAISD is the authority on it, but if you need to talk it through with other moms and dads and caregivers, we've got our discussion group as well.
Inga, I'd also like to add that one of the additional resources when you were mentioning the contact information is that we have an empowerment hotline specifically set up for our families, and they can reach that at 210-244-0845. And the wonderful thing about that is that we are there to be able to support families after hours. So we run that hotline Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 8 p.m. And then we run it from 8:30 to 4:30 on Friday. So we want to make sure that if families cannot contact us during the daytime, that we are accessible to them. And then we also have an email specifically dedicated to them that's empowerfamilies@saisd.net, where they can also contact us should they have any specific questions regarding enrollment options if they're impacted by right sizing. Okay,
that's really helpful. Okay, so there's a specific phone number, 210-244-0845, and there's a specific email address, empowerfamilies@saisd.net. So that's wonderful. That way, those families will, they'll get the attention they need. They'll get taken care of. So that's really important.
And I just want to reemphasize, families who are being impacted by right sizing, they are going to be given priority for placement in any choice school. that they might apply to. So that is another way that we're extending that, VIP white glove treatment to families, because we know it's probably a really confusing time for them, or just trying to figure out like, okay, what do I do next year? So we want to make sure that we're taking care of them that way. Any family who's interested, whether you're impacted by the Rightsizing or not, you can learn more about the choice timeline that we just talked about, which is now open for 24-25 on our Choice Schools website, SAISDchoice.com. So not only is our whole timeline there as far as like when you need to apply, when offers happen, we also have some great informational videos on there as a new feature, as well as a pretty robust FAQ page for some questions that we get a lot, and a lot of them address kind of these changes that have been happening or that are to come, as well as finding out when different schools and programs are having information sessions throughout now through even into the springtime. So we really encourage families to start there, SAISDchoice.com, and they'll also see how to apply, what options are available for them by grade level, and all that fun stuff. So that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and that website, I check that often, because if I'm trying to understand like what is a specific learning model at a choice school, and so you guys keep that all up to date. It's alphabetical, but you can sort it different ways. And then the school finder, that's new this year, right? So there's a map that folks can click on. I was like, ooh, this is fun. It's a new feature.
Yeah, if you go under the schools tab on the Choice website, you'll see it'll say new. You can connect to that. So it's like an interactive Google Maps. And so it'll show all of the Choice schools as well as all of the other SAISD schools that are going to be options for next school year. So it's really fun to look at. Families are able to sort and filter out the schools by the grade level their kiddo is going to be in next year. Maybe even like distance from their house or from their workplace, different things happening at the school, programs, extracurriculars, sports, and things like that. So you can also save any schools that you're interested in and like send yourself a copy of that list so you can come back to it later. And that really facilitates then being able to apply, because you already know which schools you want. And like which ones you want more than others. Like we're asking families to rank their schools when they apply this year, so you can apply for up to 8. And so that just helps them like kind of have all of their research in one place. So we're really excited about this tool.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, applying up to 8 is that's an increase over last year. I know families in the Facebook group are excited about that. That's how detail oriented our parents are. But
Yes.
yeah, they so okay. So in the at the beginning of this talk, you guys mentioned some of the types of learning models, like International Baccalaureate, Montessori, dual language, dual credit. I was wondering, can y'all highlight what are some of the changes, like some of the new programs? Like, so like I follow the news and I saw like at Fox Tech there's a new nursing program, and like, right, so there's like especially these like career pathways, like those are really exciting.
Yeah, so every year we'll have some either schools adding to our choice school offerings or adding a grade level as they're expanding. So we do have more than one totally new school this year, but one where the whole school is joining all of their grade levels, and that's Ogden Elementary. And they have pre-K through 5th grade, so they'll be joining us as an option for 24-25, so families can already be applying for that school now. We also have 3 of our choice schools that did not offer pre-K4 before, but will starting next year. So that's Bonham Academy, Woodlawn Academy, and Young Women's Leadership Academy Primary. So they will now be pre-K4 through either 8th grade or 5th grade. So Bonham, Woodlawn, and YWLA Primary will now all have pre-K4. 2 of our 2 Montessori schools are finally going to have their full grade range next year. So Rodriguez Montessori, which also has a dual language option, they're going to be pre-K through 5th grade next year. And Steele Montessori will be pre-K through 8th grade next year. So they're done expanding as of next year. We have a college prep program at Rogers Middle School that's going to be expanding next year to be for 6th and 7th grade. And we also have 2 other middle schools who are starting a college prep program next year. And so they're starting with just their 6th grade. And that's going to be Davis Middle School and Tafoya Middle School. So they will eventually expand just like Rogers is doing, where the whole school is under that college prep model. And interestingly, one of our high schools is adding a 6th grade and an 8th grade component for this upcoming school year, and that is Cast Med High School. So that's part of the Cast network, just like Cast Tech and Advanced Learning Academy. And then the one that you were mentioning, Inga, is Fox Tech High School. They have added a political science dual credit pathway, as well as an Associate of Applied Science in Nursing degree. So that's part of their H-Tech pathway. So yeah, they had a press release last week. They're very excited about that. Families can learn more about each of those programs by taking a look at Fox Tech on the Choice School website, SAISDchoice.com. And you can also select which program you're interested in or more, one or more, when you apply on the application. So they can decide which of those programs and pathways they're interested in addition to the ones that already exist.
Yeah.
So quite a bit of changes this year.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. Well, I mean, I remember, I think it was like maybe 2016 or 2017. It was just the number of options just exploded, and I feel like every year there's like little tweaks and stuff. But I think it's important to share the good news and not just the things that are, like, I mean, it's sad. Like you talked about, SAISD has served generations of San Antonio families, right? There's multiple generations, and that have like traditions and memories and. And so to see schools close and merge, it's sad, and we should recognize the grief that those families feel and make sure we preserve the memories of, like, who these schools are named after, right? Because some of them were pioneers in communities of color in San Antonio, so that's really important. But we should also celebrate the good news of, like, by allocating resources differently, yes. What kinds of learning models, how to better serve students, because like the district's goals are really ambitious. It's to make sure that every student, regardless of what neighborhood they're from, what their economic background is, what their racial or ethnic background is, that every student should achieve. And the district is very explicit about those goals. And so rightsizing is a necessary step for that. It's just that you guys are really busy. You're working really hard, and you're treating families with compassion and trying to listen to their concerns and help steer them, towards what's going to work for their families.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad we're having that focus as well, that there is a lot of upsides to this. And I think in the upcoming, couple of years, families will really start to feel that as they, become accustomed to their new homeschool and really feel part of that community and see the benefits of being in that. So very true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so you guys have already shared some really helpful information for families who are in this process and trying to understand it. But I wanted to bring up some key points, like things that come up a lot in our group. And so I think we touched on this, but families, they don't have to live inside SAISD. They can live, and they don't have to go to the SAISD school that they're zoned for, right? They can. Right. So the idea is that we're opening it wide open. This is the world of open enrollment. So.
Yeah, for these schools, we're taking applications from anybody, families inside and outside of SAISD. So if you're a current SAISD student, you can apply so that you might attend another school within the district. If, say, you live in Northside or Harlandale or South San, we get applications from all over the place. This allows your student to experience all the benefits of our programs. They don't have to move. You don't have to move into the area, but you're welcome to apply as well. We'll say that students living within SAISD boundaries are given preference for seats because we want to definitely take care of our families. But there are definitely seats available, typically for other families as well who come in to apply. So we welcome anyone who would like to come in.
Yeah. And the transportation aspect, I think that's really important. And the fact that a question we get a lot too is like, there are families who want their children to experience a unique learning model. They want advanced learning, but they also want to have more of a typical high school experience where they can have sports and extracurriculars. They can have band, mariachi, swimming, things like that. And I think that's one of the things that's so wonderful about the comprehensive high schools and the Fox Tech campus in SAISD is that students can experience unique learning models and have the traditions of a Texas high school experience?
Yes, so we have lots of different options for students who are attending our school. So if you're coming in from just another SAISD school or from out of district and you attend a choice school, you are a student of that school. You can participate in any of the fine arts or sports or other extracurriculars that are available, just as you would at your home campus. That's very important. As you mentioned, like kids want that like traditional high school experience of having all of those. So that is very important.
Yeah. Also, so in the blog post, I added some updated photos from, I was able to visit Burbank High School recently. And I think for anybody who maybe has a conception in their mind of what an SAISD campus looks like, they might need to revisit that, because there's been so much work done under recent bond initiatives that these are very modern campuses, and there's still a lot of work being done. And so it's not uniform across the district, but if you're able to go to a campus like Burbank that has been completely transformed, and one of our board members, Smiley, he's like, they tore down the building that right? So there's like older parts of the campus that just weren't serving the students well, but now there's this like beautiful new wing of the building that's full of light and full of technology and full of like meeting spaces for students. And so I just encourage folks, like, go visit a campus and just be open-minded about what an SAISD campus could look like.
Yeah, we're a legacy district, if you want to call it that, but having a legacy building can only last so long. So yeah, I agree. There's a lot of great work that's being done around in many of our schools right now.
Yeah. So one of the questions that comes up a lot in the group, because our Facebook group skews more towards younger families, they want to hear more about pre-K at SAISD. And I know, Karen, you already touched on this. Like you mentioned that that some of the choice schools, specifically Bonham, Woodlawn, and Whiteville A, they're adding pre-K 4, which is new at those choice programs. But what advice do you have for families who are specifically looking for pre-K? And some campuses have pre-K 3 as well, right?
So if you live in the SAISD boundaries, you will have a school in your attendance zone that will offer pre-K. So that is an option, is to attend your home campus if you're in the district. If you're not in the district, you might want to take a look at our choice website, because we have many pre-K options in our choice elementaries and academies. So when you're on the choice website, SAISDchoice.com, there it is, go under the schools tab and you can see all of our choice schools, and you can actually scroll down and filter for pre-K, and it will show you all of the campuses that have a pre-K offering. And so you can click on those and learn more about the schools. Another great place to go, if you're just looking in general, is to that Explore tool that we were talking about, the School Finder. So that will have information for all of our district schools. So that's choice schools and non-choice schools. And you can use the filter option there as well and say, just show me the schools that have pre-K, or show me the ones that are within 5 miles of my house, or however you want to set your filter. It's a really interactive tool, but that's a great place to start. If you are applying for pre-K, keep in mind that we also have some Head Start campuses available, and Head Start just offers some more wraparound services for your child and for your family. So families who are pre-K qualifying, they will be prioritized for seats in our schools and through our choice lottery. So we prioritize students who are going to be 4 years old. So that's why we have to place those 4-year-olds before we see if there's additional seats for 3-year-olds sometimes. But qualifying students will be prioritized for those seats. And then if there are additional seats, we'll look at families who are non-qualifying, and students who will be 3 years old for that school year as well. But lots of options, so don't limit yourself to the one that's in your immediate vicinity. You can be in pre-K and participate in these choice school models like Montessori. And you can do Montessori and dual language at the same time, or you can do International Baccalaureate and dual language at the same time. So check out the options. And if all of that sounds overwhelming, call us. Call us and we will talk to you about what you're looking for, what's important to you, and maybe just kind of help streamline your search and give you just a handful to look at. So.
And Inga, I'll just add on to what Ms. Galván said, that it is free full day programming for pre-K. So that is a benefit. It is a full day, and it is free of cost. So very excited now as a result of the Rightsizing that all of our campuses will offer pre-K.
Yeah, that's what Karen, your explanation about these different, priorities and the process and stuff, that's about the best explanation that I've heard. I've tried to kind of piece it together and from your saying stuff, but anyway, that was a really good explanation, but it's a lot to absorb. And that's why I think that, what you both have been emphasizing is that your office is there to answer questions that, and in, we're talking in English today, but you guys have folks ready to work in a lot of different languages, Spanish and more, to help people, because there's a lot of newcomers in San Antonio, right? So you want them to feel, as welcome as possible, make sure their kids get a great education too.
Yes, and when families call our office, anyone who answers the phone is going to be able to talk to you in Spanish or English in our department. So we don't maybe know all of the languages, but we've got those two down. So we're able to help families who call in whichever of those two languages they're more comfortable in.
And one of the wonderful things this year, Inga, is we have a program called Language Links that will provide access to other languages, Pashto, Swahili, Farsi. And so if we need that special translation, we can definitely utilize that resource to be able to meet our families' needs.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay.
Including on the phone.
Including on the phone.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's see. I wanted to make sure. Oh, yeah. Okay, so y'all have mentioned it. Like, so, for example, like the school finder, it's on. But if anyone looks at the URL, it's like, Avella. What is Avella? So, right. So there's a change for, like, in the past few years, it was Schoolmint. Right now, it's going to be Avella. And so, like, on top of all the other changes y'all are managing, right? So, I guess if there's a family that wants to apply or register for the current, right, 23-24 school year, they would still be using Schoolmint, right? But if they're planning ahead for the next school year, that's what Avella is for. That's where the school finder is, right?
Correct.
That is correct.
So yeah, we want to keep pushing families who maybe not sure where to go or what to do, because there's a lot of information out there, to visit our Enrollment Hub page. It's one page. It'll say, do you want to do this for this year? Click here. Do you want to do this for this year? Click here. So it makes it kind of foolproof or feel-proof for anyone who's looking to see which platform am I supposed to be on. So yeah, one of the big things we're excited about is starting with applications for the 24-25 school year. We're going to be using a new platform called Avela, Avela. We will also be using that same platform for registration starting in the spring for 24-25. So that will mean families can apply for a choice school, get an offer, accept it, and register all in the same platform, potentially all in the same day if they're ready to do that. So that's going to make the process a lot more streamlined for families. We've heard so far feedback that the application process is really easy. Logging in is a little different and a little easier as well this year. But this year is our transition year, as you mentioned. So if you are trying to do anything for 24-25 school year, you're going to go to Avela. Everything for the current school year, whether that's applying for a choice school or registering, happens the same. So for choice school applications for this year, we're still using Schoolmint, and those wait lists are still there. And if you're registering for the current school year, we're still using our Frontline platform. So starting in several months, things will be a lot more streamlined as we're doing things on Avela kind of uniquely.
And I'll add, Inga, that our main reason is to really improve the family experience. And so when we talk about improving the family experience, Avila also has the translation feature. So it's not just English and Spanish. It's provided in a variety of different languages, in addition to being mobile adaptive. So very easy for a family to access on a mobile device or on even a laptop or iPad. So very excited that we have, definitely need to meet those technology needs, but at the same time, improving the family experience on both the technology side and on the access side. Yeah,
that's our observation as well. Actually, we're retooling our website to make it more mobile friendly, because our data shows that most of our readers are accessing content on mobile. So yeah, and so how great to like make it, meet families where they are and have fewer steps between the application and enrollment part and the registration part, right? To the goal is to, as easily as possible, get kids into seats where they need to be, and get those, take down as many barriers as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have covered all of the specific questions that I wanted to ask, and it didn't take all day because I had to edit myself. It's hard, but
there's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. Yeah, and I want to reemphasize for folks who are still wrapping their heads around rightsizing, we have other blog posts, other stuff on the website. We've had a lot of discussions in the Facebook group about that, and SAISD continues to have community meetings. Folks can reach out to their trustee on the board of trustees, and that there's ways to get questions answered about that. But our main focus today is the SAISD Choice Schools, which I've been very excited about for years. It dramatically increased the range of options available to families. Y'all have found amazing partners, like with the IB schools and with CAS schools, and just amazing partners who bring so many new ideas to these campuses. And you guys work really hard to make these schools as accessible as possible, with transportation and with y'all trying to demystify the application process as much as possible. So
yes, and I will say as well, if you're a family that's currently in maybe a really small school or a really small system of schools, and you're feeling a little bit apprehensive about joining quite a large district, please don't be. We do really value those one-on-one conversations that we're able to have with families on the phone, as well as at information sessions and recruitment events that will be part of, like yours. Thank you for always inviting us to your school discovery days. So there's definitely a place for your child here if you're considering us. Please don't be afraid to try something new. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So again, another reminder, we are taking applications already now as of December 1st for next school year. So that our enrollment hub at saisdnet.enroll will let you know where to start if you're not sure where to start. And our phone number, go ahead and give us a call if you have any questions, and we'd love to guide you through this exciting process.
And I'd also like to add, we do a lot of recruitment events throughout the district, and campuses host tours. And now we have a link to virtual tours to our schools listed on the enrollment page. But we also have two exciting events that we're looking forward to in the month of January. So January 22nd and January 29th, we're going to be having family nights at the Alamo Convocation Center for those 5th grade students transitioning to 6th grade, and then those 8th grade students transitioning to 9th grade. So typically we host what we call mini fairs throughout the day for students, and we will still host those. Wonderful experience for our 9th grade campuses to come and share the offerings to students so that they can be well informed of what their offerings are in both of those grade levels. But we are very excited to extend that out to our families. And so we welcome families to come on those 2 days to hear about what the opportunities are as their students are transitioning to those 2 grade levels.
That's wonderful. Okay, so just to recap what Diane said, it's family nights, so January 22nd, and so that's for families with 5th graders, and they're looking at their middle school options for 6th grade. And then January 29th, families of current 8th graders, and they're looking at high school. So that's great. So like the Choice Schools middle schools can present to the 5th graders on January 22nd, and then the Choice High Schools, they can present to the 8th graders. Exactly. Yeah, those transition years are so important. Like that comes up a lot in our group. That's when folks have, especially have a lot of questions. And I think that besides, obviously pre-K and kindergarten, I've asked a lot about that. But those transition years. So so the Alamo Convocation Center, folks drive by it, thousands of times a day, right? It's the sort of the boxy building next to Alamo Stadium. So anybody driving past the zoo on Highway 281, you've driven by the Alamo Convocation Center, you just might not have known that that's what it was called.
Yeah, and we're also, for the 8th graders, because they're kind of old enough to take in this information, we'll be presenting all that same choice high school information to them at our SAISD schools during the days leading up to that family event for the 8th grade families. So they'll also be getting that information at their school. And then this just gives the parents an opportunity to also hear what their 8th graders are hearing, because, you know, things get lost in translation. And that way they can interact with staff and representatives from each of those high school programs. And we can also facilitate helping them do their online application right there if they're interested, or, you know, filling in any information that they still need.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a busy week because we have our School Discovery Day at the Museum is on January 20th. And of course, SAISD will be there. And we also, I think CAS Schools and Democracy Prep are also going to be there. So those are some of the school partners that y'all work with. So that's our big event. So everyone, the first 1,000 people coming to that will also get free admission to the Museum. So we're really excited. And then, so January 20th is School Discovery Day from SA Charter Moms, but then those two SAISD events y'all mentioned, so that's January 22nd and January 29th. So, you know, great ways for families to learn more about the SAISD Choice Schools. Still in time to get applications in before February 15th. So their applications will be included in the lotteries.
Yes, plenty of time. So thank you, as always, for inviting us to the School Discovery Day events all over town. We enjoy meeting the families and letting them know that we're an option for them. A lot of families aren't aware. So we hope to see as many families as possible on January 20th.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to close out with just, this is the one-stop shop. So whatever direction a family needs to go in. So if they do SAISD.net/enroll, that will get them to where they need to go for whichever year they're applying for. So
yes, think of that site as, or think of that page as one of those road signs where all the signs are pointing different ways. You want to do this, go here. So that's a good start for families. And then our choice website, if you know you're interested in a choice school or you want to see what it's all about, SAISDchoice.com.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Karen and Diane. I appreciate all that you're doing for families, you know, helping, you know, make Rightsizing go as smoothly as possible for families, you know, keep bringing new learning models, new options for families. And, you know, I wish you a very successful enrollment season, and I really appreciate your partnership.
Thank you, Inga.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.